Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is the instant reaction post-game show. Notre Dame beats Virginia 35-14 in what I imagine most people are going to consider a less than satisfactory performance. The defense was very good as usual. The offense was stagnant. It was at times just making mistakes all over the place. They were sloppy, a lot of missed assignments, a lot of penalties, wiping touchdowns off the board. The officiating was a total disaster, I thought. They don't know the rules. Bad. They don't know the rules, Jamie. That's not good. You need to know the rules when you go out there. And a lot of people, there's a backdoor cover by Virginia that not a lot of people are happy about, but we are going to talk about all of those things. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you hear, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell soon, whatever it is. We are going to go live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. And as always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, and we have a special Black Friday deal that we're going to talk about. It's early, right? We're kicking off Black Friday next week. After the Army game, Ge Wang at ESQ Clothing is going to match percentage-wise the number of points that Notre Dame puts up against Army next week. So the sale will go live on Sunday. Notre Dame scored 35 points today. If they score 35 points against Army, that's how much percent off you're going to get on ESQclothing.com. You're going to head over there. Shirts, bomber jackets, tuxedos, for galas, holiday events, for Christmas shopping, for whoever it might be. You're going to want to take advantage of that great sale from Ge Wang. You see an ESQ and all your favorite Notre Dame players and coaches. It's good stuff. And it's a great sale you're going to want to take advantage of. So that's going to be the Sunday after the Army game. Ge Wang is going to match percentage-wise the number of points that Notre Dame scores. So hit up ESQ Clothing. Upgrade your wardrobe today. Let's put up the stats here. Jamie, 35-14. Actually, this just came up. Rajon says, is Jeter re-injured? What was going on with Notre Dame's kicking game there, Jamie? I don't know what that was. You've got Notre Dame. This reminded me, honestly, of the Lou Holtz days of like the mid-90s when it was Scott Sinja, when it was Kevin Kopka, when it was Jim Sanson. They're just rotating different kickers in and out of the game. I don't know what's going on there. At first, I thought it was kind of like an overblown thing. Now I think this is a real thing that Notre Dame needs to worry about. Their kicking game is not where you want it to be. Numerous missed field goals in this one. Not what you want. Where's your mind at, Jamie, with this? Do you want to start with the offense or the defense? I think, 448 yards total offense for Notre Dame. That's not terrible. 6.3 yards a play. It was 450 yards before the kneel down, about 6.4 yards per play. So what did you think about the way that Notre Dame came out offensively in this game? Obviously, they get the fumble on the kickoff return, but how did you think they started this game offensively? What were you seeing where it just wasn't clicking for them?
Well, I mean, I think the O-line was bad. I think that was the main thing. I think, you can say it too, like, obviously, things like Bo Collins, the drops are just a problem. Obviously, like it's become a weekly thing, right? And he just doesn't look like a confident player anymore, and he doesn't even really look like he looks like he's just like losing it right now. You know what I mean? Like he's just like not fully engaged.
It just like I use the word unplayable. Like he's
like the body language looks bad. Yeah.
He's unplayable. I thought the drop on the crosser. I mean, to be honest, they threw the right laner through the RPO to him. I think that's bad effort. It's a bad effort to me. You have to get open. You have to make that play. I'm sorry. Like you're inside. Putting up one hand, the DBs holding your arm. Like to me, that's not big time football, and that's not big time receiver play. So I agree with you on that. I just think he's unplayable right now. It's not good, and it's like he plays way too many snaps for him to be at the level that he's at. Um, I felt like they were, putting themselves in a situation early in the game where they were kind of putting the onus on the wide receivers to get open. I didn't think they were getting open. I'm curious to get your thoughts on that. That was kind of what, to me, it's like Notre Dame's bogged down right now because they are relying on the passing game, and some of it was due to penalty, but some of it was by choice. I just didn't
I
think
believe they lost
did they lose the
to
game?
Stanford. Wow.
Good. Not a good situation for Notre Dame.
Oh my God.
Notre Dame schedule situation.
Ugh.
Let me go. Oh my God.
Wow. Okay.
38-35.
Wow.
All right.
Well, that's God. Brom gonna Brom, I guess.
Yeah.
Props to Stanford, man, for winning that game. But whew,
Louisville was up 35-21 in the fourth quarter.
wow, holy crap. Extreme Jeff Brom. Wow, okay. Tough for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Tough for them. Sorry, I just didn't mean to do that, but just when I saw that they lost, I was like, that so that's tough. That's tough. Yeah, you know what? I think like I don't think Mike Denbrock was helping them at all. To be honest, right?
Yeah.
Like I thought they were just like I thought this game was like one of those games where it was like um they didn't have answers. Like the early stuff for answers, it was like I I didn't think they were just running stuff like, okay, we're gonna run it. You're just gonna run like a curl route here, or you're just gonna run a hitch. And it wasn't there was no scheme to get guys open. It kind of reminded me like earlier in the year a little bit. So he wasn't helped by that. Leonard wasn't helped by that. And I think if you look at like Leonard had he had 80% completions in the first half. You're like 16 to 20, you're like, wow, pretty good, right? Like you're looking at that, but like it honestly, I obviously did not feel like that. Based on what was there and like um the lack of success on third down, and also too just the fact that they were like put into these situations where they were in so many third and forevers
Yeah.
that just like really, really hurt them. So I just thought that like, I mean, obviously the penalties were bad. I mean, rough game for Pat Coogan. Really, really rough game for Pat Coogan. Especially that first half was really bad for him. But just to have that many times where that cost them so many times. And I will say though, like some of these calls are like, it did seem like they were making some of those calls. It was like the hands to the face. You got to call it. You see it, right? You got to call it.
He twisted it too. Like that
Yes.
that one was legit. He had to do it.
You got to call it. But like some of the holds, I'm like, man, you could call that hold on any play, And I was just like, but it just seemed like they were just kind of, just really like calling it to call it. And then Notre Dame just can't get out of those situations. They just they can never do anything to get out of those situations. It's been the same all year. And then they're just dead on third and long. And then even when they get they get the 70 something yard touchdown to Harrison on third and long, and then it gets called back. Right? Like think about they had 2 touchdowns called back in this game. Obviously the punt, fake punt, which I understand the rule of like them trying to explain the rule and all that. But it does feel like there's no way. I saw your tweet about it too, about like it does feel like there's no way Marty Biagi's running that play.
Yeah.
If it's
He obviously knows what the rules are.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with like Marcus Freeman and stuff. They know, like, you just don't call that play. So I mean, I guess, ball don't lie, whatever. They get the pick right after and then they start blowing them up. But just, man, that was really just I don't know. And obviously Virginia gets their touchdown based on the guy just flat out dropping a pass. It wasn't flat out dropping a pass. Christian Gray broke it up.
He broke up the play. Like the
up
ball's
the play.
on the ground. They rule it a fumble, which is just like, you're kidding me. Like, you're kidding me with this. Like, that is not serious. This is Division I football. This is FBS, like Power 4 conference football, and we're coming up with that stuff. It's unbecoming. Like, you can't have it. On the muffed punt, Jamie. As soon as it happened, I'm alone in my garage watching the game. As soon as it happened, I was like, "That's Notre Dame's ball. He can't catch it like that. The ball has to hit the ground. If you call a fair catch and you bobble it in the air, you get the opportunity to catch it again. That is the point of a fair catch. If the ball hits the ground, now you have lost the opportunity. They can pick it up. We've seen Notre Dame do this, where the center runs down and the ball's being bobbled, and the center stands there and lets it drop and then jumps on it. You cannot catch the ball in the air when the punt returner has called a fair catch. You cannot. It's a rule. They don't know the rules. It was the first thing I thought was you can't do that. And they let it happen. They let it happen. They let it go. It's a disaster. You don't know the rules. So the way that I'm looking at the punt, the fake punt situation is like, so many people were in my DMs, like sending me the rules and talking about the rules. Like, first of all, there's nowhere in the rule book that I saw that talked about 10 yards away, that the punter has to be closer than 10 yards or whatever it is. And there's ambiguity as to whether or not Louisville or not Louisville, excuse me, Virginia knows that they're in a punt formation, that they're in a kick formation, right? I think they clearly knew because they had a punt returner back. So they clearly knew what was going on, and basically how it triggers whether or not the numbers can line up the way that they lined up. But Notre Dame was in a punt formation. They put Kaiser underneath the center. There's no way. First of all, Marcus Freeman alluded to the fact that he told them this is what was coming. They still called it.
Of course, that is 100% what you do on those things.
Right.
You tell the refs that you're going to do this because they can tell you right then you're not allowed to do that. And if you don't, if you get that information, you don't call that play. Like, that was so bad. The Hurlman thing was actually, it was probably worse because they had the long talk about it.
Yeah.
And the rules analyst for NBC came on and said, yeah, 100% they screwed this up. Like, okay, so as much as we're saying that, whatever, we don't need to stick on the refs the whole time. The refs were stinky, smelly. They're horrible, like they have always been the whole year. Anyone who thinks the refs are any good in college football, like, you must be watching different games than me. They're bad all over. So it's not just Notre Dame games, right? It's not like they're doing it just against Notre Dame.
No.
Bad.
It's in
confidence. They're bad all over the place, but there's no reason for it to be this bad. There's no reason for it to be this bad. And I just want to point out too, because there are these plays, Virginia got two touchdowns taken off the board. Yeah, for two Notre Dame touchdowns taken off the board. They got gifted red zone possession. I understand they gave, Tyree gave Notre Dame one. So it was like even, right, in terms of them giving the thing. But except for Tyree's was a legit one. And obviously they made the call, like, you can't advance a kick return once. Right. Okay, great. They knew that rule. So they had these breaks, and Notre Dame still beat the crap out of them. So you have to talk about, like, okay, Notre Dame did that. Like, as much as people might not be happy with the overall performance, it's like they still got the breaks, and Notre Dame still, whooped them and still did all of this. So I think that matters.
It does. I mean, look, it is a situation where we are nitpicking 35-14, but like it also is the case that, like, like you're looking for signs to where like this team is growing and threatening. We've talked a lot about how they have the ability to grow. They have the ability to take steps. Like in the passing game specifically, like they did not take those steps today, in my opinion. Like look, Riley Leonard made some good throws, right? Like the touchdown that got wiped out to Jaden Harrison, it's a great throw. He made another great throw to Harrison over the middle, right? Like those are good. It's not like he did nothing good today, right? Like 22 of 33 for 214, 3 touchdowns and interception. Like 67% completions. Like he's obviously not, it was an awful performance, but like they just can't get guys like there's too many times where it's like he's standing back there and the blocking is good enough and they can't obviously get anyone out open, right? They can't get anyone there. There's times when he's making a throw that's just like you're not even giving your guy a chance here, right? You need to give a guy a chance. Notre Dame's dropping passes again. Bo Collins has a bad drop. Faison had another bad drop in this game. Like that stuff's got to go away. 50-50 ball. The deep ball that he threw to Faison, I'm sorry, Faison's got to catch the ball. You got to make a play. Like the ball's in there. The DB has his back to the play. Go over him and catch it. And let's go. You know, tell me. I want to get your impressions of the way Notre Dame is going about running the ball with their offense right now. Today and a little bit last week too, but more so today, it felt like it was so just like random. Like suddenly, like Aeneas Williams is getting just like 6-7 carries like in a row, or like 4 or 5 carries like in a row. Like Jadarian Price, 6 carries, 44 yards, 7.3 yards carry, and he's just not out there. Like what? That's not happening. Jeremiah Love has 16 carries in this game, 137. He has the long one for 76, 8.6 yards a carry. It just seems like for whatever reason, Notre Dame was trying to increase the lead to 42-7. The fact that I'm having this conversation is they were trying to increase the lead to 42-7, and I'm upset about something. But I am upset about it. Like, put your guys in the game. Put your top guys in the game. You have Riley Leonard out there. Put him out there. 7.8 yards a carry, 7 yards a carry. Like, why can't we get them in the ball? So I'm just curious. Like, do you have a problem with it the way that I have a problem with it? I assume you don't, but we'll
I mean, I don't have a problem with like at that time of the game of when they were giving Williams those carries. Like, no, I don't have a problem with it. If that was happening in like the second quarter, and they were like doing it, you know, when they're up 35-7 and they're like, hey, we're going to give Aeneas like a little run here. Okay, that's fine. But also too, if you're going to do that, I just think like, if you're really trying to score there, you have Price in the game. That's what I think that you should have done they probably should have had Price in the game, and whatever. It's not shots at Aeneas. He's played well and he's run well, and he's obviously done a great job, you know, catching the football on third down. I think he's done kind of an exceptional job for a freshman in that role. But I just think that, you know, in that kind of situation, I didn't have a problem with him getting those like extra carries there. But I had more of a problem with like what they were doing in general. Like I just didn't. I mean, I didn't think there was any rhythm to the offense the whole day. Mm-hmm. Like even when they got the kind of drive where they got the to get the second touchdown of the game, right? That was like a drive where they got 2 big plays to kind of like propel them, but it just wasn't like. It wasn't like a drive where it was like, wow, okay, now this is the start of something. It just kind of seemed like it's just their athletes making plays, you know, like that's what it was. So, yeah, I don't know. I just thought like it was just a bad game all around. From the O line wasn't great. in the game. I just thought that there wasn't there just wasn't any kind of like flow to what they were doing. Like they weren't setting stuff up in terms of the passing game or the running game. And Leonard obviously didn't play great. In terms of, but I also think though I don't think he was helped that much. And this is one too. Like I really wish I watched the all 22 and got like a better view of some of the route stuff too, because he actually made some, like that one throw he made to Jaden Harrison versus cover 2 was like, that was a great throw. That was a great throw. And I thought he made he did make some good throws. And it's like one of those things too, of like, which is very nitpicky. It's like that guy doesn't tip the ball and then Evans catches it there and they do go up 42-7.
Yeah.
It's like you do kind of look at it a little bit different, and that's probably unfair, but that's just what it is. But even with that, you just would say like it just was not a good. There just was no real rhythm to the game when you look at like Notre Dame was 42nd percentile in EPA per play, 41% success rate, which isn't horrible, right? It's 48th percentile, but so it's like one of those things where you like, you average over 6 yards per play. It's not like a bad game or anything like that, but it just was not. It was not nowhere close to an efficient game, and which I would say like that's kind of 2 games in a row where they really haven't had that. So, someone mentioned earlier in the chat about like, man, they can't play like this against Army. I mean, I would disagree. Like you would still play this way against Army, and you're still going to, because they still score points, right? And they're still going to score enough points in that game too. Because the other thing is too, is that like, I know they didn't score in the red zone at the end, but they did. They went 4 for 4 right away in the red zone. And that's the thing that they always have done, is they've just got there. And then when you do that, there's just so much less pressure on you when you're able to do that and like turn those turnovers into touchdowns. And that's a big thing. Honestly, like I'm not worried about that kind of thing. I would worry about it more about like when they play USC, when they play, in the playoff, whoever they're playing in the playoff, because it's got to be better. It's got to be better.
Yeah, and like it should be better, right? Like whether or not what's necessary, it's not a question to me about what's necessary. It's just like it should be. It needs to be better because it can be better.
Yes.
They have the ability to get it there. So that's the whole point.
Yeah.
CFB Hertz says, thank you for the super chat. First of all, the offense need to learn from the hit and hustle boys. Those two never have an off day. Efforting, always efforting, right? We're always putting it out there, trying to do the things we can do to give you guys the best show. It was tough, Jamie. I kept thinking like every time, like Jaden Harrison, probably his best game at Notre Dame today, right? Like Chris Tyree, I felt so bad for him. He had a disaster game, like a complete disaster game. I hate that for him. I hate that he fumbled the kickoff. They threw to him a couple of times, and it was like every time it was off and like off his hands. Not what he wanted, but I just felt bad for him. But Jaden Harrison had a very good game. We saw Jaden Greathouse go down. We saw him on the sideline afterwards. They didn't put him back in the game, but he was telling people after, like he was moving his arm. He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good." So that's a positive thing for Notre Dame as far
also
as
like more. I mean, that would look concerning to me. The fact that
I thought he might have broken his collarbone. Yeah.
I mean, I was worried about that, and the fact that he was able to come back in was, I think, pretty significant, because that would have been, I think, really disastrous for Notre Dame. So, and I mean, okay, and I know whatever we've complained about the offense, but you gotta say, man, the defense is just so freaking good, man.
I was about to bring those guys up. Let's get in the defense here. Adon Schuler, 4 tackles. I mean, that doesn't matter the tackles really. A ton of like interceptions. Xavier Watts. I'm gonna be so sad when Xavier Watts leaves this program. He is so good. I can't believe how good he is. I honestly can't. Like it never in my wildest dreams. When I thought he was, he was ascending as in 2021, had a chance to be like a real player, had a chance to be a playmaker. Never does anything wrong. He is never wrong. Recovering fumbles, making interceptions, breaking up passes, not interfering. Like incredible. I think Don Schuler never thought he'd be this good in his first year as a starter, right? He's just been great. Rod Hurd, TD4ND, says his best game.
Rod Hurd, huge today.
Yeah, he had a huge game. I'm not going to say that X is better than Kyle Hamilton at Notre Dame. He's done better numbers, right? I mean, he's around longer, so that definitely helps. I'm not even going to get into the comparison because I think X Watts I think he should be a first team All-American again for his second year. He's the defending National Defensive Player of the Year, and he's lived up to that. They're incredible, Jamie. There's just nothing you can ever get over on them. I think Jordan Clark has been just an absolute revelation. Another great game from Leonard Moore. He gave up a catch. He had a holding call. He also hit the quarterback on a blitz. He also had another interception. The ball's getting tipped around. It's just a great football player. Christian Gray making plays. He broke up the pass that actually counted, but I'm going to give him a breakup for that. He stopped the quarterback early on a run play on a sweep and forced a punt. It seems like Riley Mills is just ascending, right? Like doing everything you ever wanted from him. Anything else, Jamie, that you want to kind of just touch on? RJ Oben had a big play in this game. He had a tackle for loss, so that's good for him to kind of get in there. What do you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I just think just overall, it's another kind of thing where like it's I would say, I mean, other than Watts, who is just like, man, just so consistently such a consistent playmaker. I mean, there's other guys who are playmakers too, but just to have that every week, and then there's always people stepping up. It's really like a total defense thing where it's like, who's the game record this week is kind of the story of the defense the entire year. And they were just so awesome in the first half, especially when your offense is just bad. They were bad for like the first, like, outside of the touchdown, after the turnover to start the game, they were bad for like 3-4 straight drives, right? Like it was not good. And then they just, like, Virginia got nothing on them, really, right? Like they had the 127-yard, catch and run by Fields where, Schuler probably shouldn't have tried to rip it out, should have tried to just get him down or whatever, right? But like that was it. That was like all they gave up in early on. And really, like, they had, I mean, you get 3 picks in the first half. You get 28.9% havoc rate in the first half. Virginia was 2 of 11 on 3rd and 4th down in the first half. Like, that is the reason why they had all these chances to kind of like take advantage. Like the touchdowns called back, they get the turnover, with the bad call by the refs in the red zone, and they get nothing. They get no points out of it, right? Mm-hmm. And then even if you think about it, the only drive that they scored in non-garbage time on the defense was when they got the gift 38-yard reception. Yeah. That wasn't an actual catch. So, I mean, I don't even know what, you can't ask more of the defense. So it's like, if anyone says like, man, the performance is bad, it's just like, keep it to the offense or keep it to whatever, because do not bring the defense involved in it, because the defense is just every game. That's just what it is. And it's just the same. It's the same thing every week, which is like, when we talked about earlier in the week about like, Marcel Reed and Texas A&M, and people just
Yeah.
assuming like, oh, wow, he's going to make this. It's like, nah, every quarterback's bad against Notre Dame. They just are. Like, and if to be good, they have to be like make exceptional like Tyler Shook, like I'm throwing sidearm while getting smoked in the chest kind of plays.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And even if you look at that game, like that was his worst game of the year, right? Like that's kind of how it's been. That just everyone has their worst game of the year against Notre Dame. And it's been like that for 2 straight years, really, and probably like 2.5 years, really, right? Because back half of the first season too. Other than just like Caleb Williams just going off and just being like Houdini in that USC game, when they didn't have Hart and Bracey, right? So,
Yeah.
Man, I just am so impressed by all around. You don't have Howard Cross in this game. Heinisch, obviously played well. Like Heinisch was noticeable all the time. He was noticeable all the time. And it's just one of those things where I know like statistically Notre Dame is a top 5 defense in the country, and I know they are just like kind of like across the board in every way. And maybe, because they're missing these guys who are injured, that they aren't, maybe that means they don't get the same love as some of these other teams. But like, man, they really should. They're just so freaking good. It's just awesome. Like, I love watching them every week. It's just a pleasure.
Yeah. I mean, and it's the consistency over like week after week, like consistently great. You want to be consistently great on your defense and in your media company that you use to help your social media page or your small business. And VSR Media, if there are anything, they are consistently great, multifaceted. They can help your business or your social media page or your highlight reel, whatever it might be, consistently and do a really good job. VSR Media, founded by Notre Dame football pregame host and Emmy Award-winning anchor Vahid Sadrazadeh. VSR Media provides professional and cinematic video and photo. Whether you're looking for a collegiate or pro-level highlight reel, have a personal story to tell, or aiming to diversify and grow your business, VSR Media specializes in short and long-form video storytelling, social media management, and website design. VSR Media also captures professional headshots, senior and sports photos. Contact them at vsrmediacompany.com. Mention Irish Darts Daily to receive 20% off your first project. Visit them online or give them a call at 574-800-9106. The defense is definitely just causing problems, right? Like because look, Calandria, like he's had some rough games this year. He hasn't had any games like this.
No, not this bad.
He hasn't had anything like these numbers. These numbers: 8 of 21, 69 yards, 3 interceptions. That is awful. That is a terrible, awful performance. He just beat Pitt. And look, here's the thing about Pitt, right? They were flying under the radar, things of that nature, right? Like flying under the radar. It's like they're actually not that good. They played Clemson to the hilt today, right? That's a quality team. Virginia just Notre Dame just absolutely spanked them. Absolutely crushed them on offense specifically. And so I just think like it's not like, oh, this team's terrible. Like, no. Virginia's been fine offensively all year. They've been in games all year, close. Crushed. Absolutely crushed. So to the defense, I think that's a great comment by you. Steve Miller, thank you for the super chat. Thanks, fellas. Just a general appreciation post for you guys and the Notre Dame defense in particular. This team competes. It was weird game in a lot of ways, but it was nice. At least the outcome today wasn't in doubt. And I will say, James, like, we can look back to the point Steve Miller just said, like, it was a weird game. It was very weird. We can look back at the end of the day and be like, oh, it's another blowout, right? But the way that it was going, and after the muff punt, it's only 7-0. Virginia's driving. Rod Hurd makes the play. put helmet on the ball. Xavier Watts recovers a fumble. Notre Dame goes down and scores, and then they blow them out, right? It didn't have to be that way. And I was thinking coming into the game, I didn't want to talk about it because it's like sometimes I'm a little superstitious about this stuff. I'm a little superstitious. I didn't want it to, but I was like thinking to myself, man, like Notre Dame hasn't had that, like, what is going on? Like, what is going on type of game, right? With it, like Ohio State kind of had it against Nebraska, a couple weeks ago, where it's like, it's close, and it's like, why is it this close? Are we going to blow it at the end of this? And I was thinking, like, man, Notre Dame is kind of due, not for any particular reason, just because these things happen in college football. And the way it was trending, it was just seemed like it was going to go in that direction. And then it didn't, and then they stepped up and then they blew them out. And it's like, look, I know they didn't cover today. It was a backdoor by Virginia. But it's like it was another blowout, right? It's another situation where you outgain your opponent by 150 yards, and you outdo them in yards per play by another 2 yards, and you turn them over 5 times, and you just make their starters just look completely inept offensively. And so like that is just kind of a good trend for Notre Dame and for the team. And Marcus Freeman seems just to be completely locked into this, where it's like he knows, like, I am not going to be accepting of anything poor, anything below standard, right? I think that's a great sign for him, and I think that's a great sign for the program. When you look at someone like Brian Kelly, he lost again, Jamie. He lost again.
Yeah.
I mean, Marcus Freeman is figuring this out, before our eyes. Notre Dame is 9-1. They have a chance next week. Go to Army. Go to USC, who won today, 28-20. To me, I think that my Alva kid, it could just be that might as well have been Miller Moss today. The way that he wasn't a revelation in any kind of way. And that's not a great Nebraska team either. But like, it just, Notre Dame has a chance here. It seems like Marcus Freeman is going to figure it out. Is that your sense as well, that he is kind of coming to his own as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think all you can look at is they won 8 straight games. Remember, that was the thing, right? It was like, well, he's won this many straight games before.
Right. It was like 4. Now he's doubled it up, basically.
Yeah. And the thing is that, like, they've always found a way to, whether you're like, man, they're not really like doing it like they do. They always find a way to like keep pushing or like push through the adversity. And that's probably been the most impressive thing because, I mean, look at that Clemson and Pitt game. That's a perfect example. Like, not that those teams are good teams or anything like that. And I wouldn't say they're as good as Notre Dame, obviously not, right? But that is the ACC. That's like kind of like that murky-ish, like where they're at. Like, I mean, BK won a lot of those games, like those kind of games like that. And you can kind of say, like, this is something that, even though this team is flawed and they've had, these moments where they have to, fight through adversity, they just keep doing it. And then I think when you keep doing that over and over again too, it's just like you have belief that it's going to happen for you. And that, if you just keep fighting, then all this, and then when something good happens, it just like, all of a sudden it snowballs and it just keeps going and going. Right. So I think that's, something that has really kind of stood out there. And not to be like Debbie Downer about all this too, but I think we do need to talk about the field goal kicking a little bit more. Because I didn't see if, Marcus talked about, the
Mitch Jeter.
Yeah, but like that has to be a really bad deal there that he's not there. It's not like they were putting those other guys in because it was senior day.
For
you
sure.
know? So if they don't have him and, and obviously he missed like the one that he last week, right? Where he missed that one, which it was like a perfect snap and a perfect whatever. He's got to be like, that's concerning because you are going to get into a game eventually where that is going to matter.
Yeah.
Like it's going to matter at some point. Like, and I mean, it's no one's fault if he's hurt, right? It's not just like what can you do, right? But it's just like,
By the way, I would kind of disagree with that, but that's fine.
what do you mean?
Well, you put him in the game to kick off. I mean,
No,
what
he
game
wasn't
was
kicking
this?
off.
No.
No,
When did he initially hurt it? Was it Navy?
gosh, I
What
can't
game
even
did he
remember now.
initially hurt it? Where he kicked off and they were like, it didn't feel good, and then it was like we shut him down. It's like, why is he? What? It's look how long it's been. They have a history of this, Jamie. This is not just, and this has nothing. And by the way, this has nothing to do with Landau, because they did this
No,
with Jaden Thomas last year with his hamstring. They kept throwing him out there, and it wasn't ready. I can't remember what game it was where he kicked, but it was like that he kicked off, and they're like, it didn't feel good. He had a sore groin, so we shut him down. You had him out there kicking the ball with an injury that has now kept him out for months. And then you have him out there last week, obviously not ready to go. What are we doing? What are you doing? You
well,
cannot continue to send players out there with injuries like this. That just can't happen. What were you going to say?
well, I was gonna say is that like it's one of those things where maybe they did it and it's just like it just happens where you just like tweak it again and you don't really know, right? So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I do think that look at way before Lauren Lando, way before Marcus Freeman was head coach. There's been kind of stuff like this going on where guys
Yes.
came back too early
Yes.
for a while. So just do with that what you will. So that's just like it's happened. It's happened with guys,
They did
coming
this with
back early.
Lindsay in 2020.
I
Disaster.
mean, even with Jordan Faison and his ankle, which is not a total thing with, obviously it's different than a buckle pull, but that was another thing. Like, if you would have sat him out for another thing, it could have been like, it could have been a different story for him, like earlier
Yeah.
on, like,
Yeah.
so those are big mistakes that can like really haunt you. And this could really haunt Notre Dame.
Yes.
So, it's something to monitor.
We are monitoring heavily
Yeah.
the kicking situation. CFB Hurts super chat. Not that I would troll other teams' podcasts, but apparently LSU, the program with one of the best teams of all time just a couple years ago, was in such bad shape that Kelly needs at least until 2026 to be ready. Thank you for the super chat. A little bit of, Brian Kelly. It's not going the way
It's not
that
going great.
he envisioned. It's not going the way he envisioned. Jamie, if you need to head out, that we can do that. I can wrap up
No,
questions. Oh,
I'll finish it up with you.
okay, no problem. Let's see. Steven Shulkowski, it is true that he did kick extra points. At 28-0, I'm not sending him back out for a 50-yard field goal. The 50-yarder, I get. To be honest, I wanted them to throw to the end zone there. I did not want them to attempt a long field goal, just because I thought they had a better chance of completing that whatever Hail Mary than they did making a
Also,
field
is he
goal in that
talking about?
situation.
It wasn't Jeter who went. It wasn't Jeter who went
He
out.
said,
Just so he knows.
no. He's saying it's they were right not to do that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think Steven's saying that they were right not to, and I agree. They shouldn't have done it with him. They should have I think they should have just thrown it to the end zone. So Ronald Nalter says Jeter can't attempt a 36-yarder. That one, because here's the thing, your kicker is your kicker. If he's not your distance kicker, then fine. I don't have a problem. If he's your guy, you send him out there for the 30s. To me, kickers are exempt from the blowout thing, because it's just to me, you're exempt from that. If you're the kicker, you kick, and that's it. Because it's not like they need Yoakum to he's kicked field goals already. It's not like they need to get him out there so we can get his name in the program.
He's
or whatever.
played. He's played already. Yeah.
I think you got to kick with your kicker. Let's see. Evans dropped the pass to the goal line on the play before the field goal. No, that wasn't a drop by Evans. That was a poor throw. That was not a good throw by Leonard. He didn't give him a chance. He didn't give it a chance. Yeah, the pass that was tipped to Evans was a fourth down play. So that was not a drop by Evans. Let's see. Great receivers and a Heisman kicker. Patrick Hennessy says, who is Notre Dame's go-to doctor? Is it Raritan? You're talking about the athletic training staff in this situation. Here. Jamie, let me see. Hold on.
I think you're thinking of Brian Radigan.
Yeah. He's the surgeon.
He's a surgeon. By all accounts, he does a good job.
Yeah. Everyone likes Brian Radigan as a surgeon. Oscar says they need the offense to get better because he wants some ESQ at 77% discount. Do we have any idea?
I don't know if you'll get. I don't know if you'll get 11 possessions in that game, Oscar. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Tough to get to 77.
That's a good point. Did Army play today?
No, they have a bye.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Leonard needs to go more height on the throw. Here's the thing. I think Leonard is his release point is so all over the place, Jamie. I just think that's where you get sometimes it's low, sometimes it sails. I think he has a problem with his release point and where he's letting go of the ball on a play-to-play basis or on a pass-to-pass basis. Because sometimes it's fine, but there's a couple throws to Faison that are low. And then he's high to Jaden Harrison. He almost threw it over his head. It was a great catch by Harrison on the first touchdown on the slant where he's kind of holding on to the back tip of the ball. He's got to work on that. I thought on the interception, A, he shouldn't throw the ball there on 3rd and 3. B, Bo Collins again, falling back, falling behind, falling away from the play. You got to get in front of that linebacker, and it basically cannot get jumped by the linebacker like that. He's falling backwards.
It's got to be incomplete.
Yes, it needs to be an incomplete pass. We noted in our group chat that was a play where it's maybe just run it. It's 3rd and 3. They have a light box sitting there. Just run the ball. That's another thing you can do.
Okay, this is I think probably what we didn't talk about with Leonard is his reads on the RPOs have not been good in the last 2 games. That I think has really stood out because when you're pulling it and choosing to run, it's there's nothing wrong with that. It's you can get a good thing, but it's he's doing it, which means he's making a bad read. He made a bad read to pull it at there, it wasn't he was pulling it because it was they got a loaded box here. And I can't, whatever. It was he's pulling it and he's oh crap, it's not there. So and maybe that's just them kind of doing stuff after the snap that's screwing it up or whatever. But a lot of times it's not. It's just or maybe it's just his guy's not winning.
Mm-hmm.
Which you think, hey, it's man, I think my guy can win here, and he doesn't, right? So that's certainly can be an issue too.
Yeah, that's a great call. It's something that you notice in game, but it's something you got to write down to remember, because I do agree. There's so many times where it's he's pulling it and it's no, there's nothing there, and then he has to improvise or whatever.
Or you had you had the. There's a reason why it looks like you could have just gave it to Love,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Hey, Jeremiah Love's a good football player. Is a take that I want to just kind of put out there.
Yeah,
He's just
he's a baller.
it's just amazing how like he can never get that like huge. I can't believe he doesn't have like a 200-yard game.
Yeah,
Because it just seems like he's got that explosiveness and he runs hard. I think Matt was trolling in
he was
our
trolling.
chat.
He was
Yeah,
trolling.
but like he runs so hard.
He
JP.
runs so hard. I think the reason he doesn't have a 200 game is because the line isn't good enough. That's
Yeah,
really what it kind of boils down to. They're not consistent enough. Because if they were like truly dominating a game, he'd be having like 250-yard games.
yeah.
I really think so. Like, let's be honest. Like, if he was running behind that 2017 line,
Oh my
oh
god.
my gosh, like just some of those holes. I mean, obviously, Josh Adams. No shade to Josh Adams. Like, he was great that season, but just like, I mean, Love would have done everything that Adams was doing and probably more.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's good football player. I think we can end it there. Thank you everyone for tuning in today. If you like what you heard, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so whenever it is we're going to go live. I'll be back tomorrow morning with the Morning After Recap show. That's at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 Pacific. We'll talk about this game. We'll talk about your thoughts and hang out with everybody as always. So have a good rest of your night. Enjoy Georgia and Tennessee. Bask in the glory of LSU losing again. And we'll have another good one tomorrow. So have a good night, everyone. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Keep hitting and hustling.